Okay, welcome to first part of sewing up my mama's quilt blocks. I've started with this lone quilt square in the middle that didn't have any partners, and now I am partnering it with these 9 patches that were already attached to, I guess, charm squares, for lack of a better word, because they're 5-inch square. So surrounding them like that. Then coming out to these kind of like crazy log cabins is what I'm calling them. I've got a couple of these that have not been trimmed down. There's some more of those up there, some crazy log cabins. And then the next row out will just be the 9 patches. We'll go around from there. Now I got a white on white that I'm going to fill in as border fabrics because, like you can see, to go from this center block to these, I'm gonna need some filler because they're not exactly going to fit. So I'm gonna border out some stuff. And I thought a white on white, even though so many of my mom's fabrics sort of have a cream background, I felt like a white on white would be something that would look clean and nice. So I'm gonna, I think, cut some 1-inch strips maybe, and some 1.5-inch strips, and kind of go from there. So this is the beginning. Okay, I'm checking in here. I've got the center portion pieced together. I know I don't have a design wall. I'm using a mattress in the guest bedroom. All right, so I have pieced together the crazy blocks, the crazy log cabins, I guess, over here on each side. And I have 4 more of those to make up like a corner in each. Now you see they're just a little bit short on each side. I think what I'm going to do is, since I had trimmed the blocks down to be 7, I think it was 7.25 square, because that's what they had been. The ones that were trimmed down to that. The ones that were not trimmed down, I trimmed to match. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the leftover cuttings and just add a little bit on each side to make them match lengthwise here and there. And then I will use my filler fabric, if you will, and border it around the box. or I guess each side, I guess, right? So it goes long, and then, oh, I guess I have to do the corners too, right? So I have to make these longer because now this will be longer. Okay, so I'm gonna have to add in these corners. I'm going to fill those out. Okay, that's probably it for today. I will come back and add on to those next time, and then after I get this crazy quilting mixed in, then I will start adding in all those 9 patches to border around and see where we are at. We still have tons of 9 patches and then all these other blocks that I could theoretically pull from. There's the backing that I'm going to use. Plenty of other blocks to still pull from that I haven't used, that I could create more borders, I guess. Maybe if I do a round of the 9 patch, then maybe I can do a round of these different 4 patches that my mom had done, because the 4 patches are like a nice variety of, different kinds of 4 patches, where it's 4 within 4, etc. And those are, chopped up 4, disappearing 4s and everything else. So that could be a lot of fun going through that stack. All right, making good progress. I'm going to try to get back here soon. Here I go. Here is an update on the progress of the quilt. Just wanted to give you a quick view of where we're at. I know I don't have a design board, so we're trying to look overhead. I'm going to turn the camera around and talk to you in a moment, but I wanted to give you a visual of where we are at currently before I do so. Okay, hi. Now you see my face. All right, I'll also include a picture here because I laid out the next row of blocks. I just laid them out. I haven't gone through and moved anything around. I'm gonna look at the picture. I'm gonna see if what stands out. This whole quilt has been just sort of putting things together and seeing how it feels, because my mom had so many blocks left behind. I have just been having fun. And it's actually been a lot more fun than I expected it to be. I did not expect to have this much fun making it. But I'll tell you a little story about me really quick. It kind of does relate to my mom, actually. It's a little story about both of us. How's that? Share time. Here we go. So I'll start with my mom. She grew up, and if you've heard this story before, please bear with me. She was born in Russia during World War II. She ended up living in camps and like not prisoner of war, but like work camps. And her family got split up, they got reunited. It's one of those real feel good stories in the end, because unfortunately she did lose an older sister who died very, very young in infancy. She never met her, but her 2 older brothers and her younger sister all survived. My grandparents were able to find each other. They found each other in a camp of all places in another country, in Poland. I mean, like, they got moved there separately at different times, were reunited. It's kind of a miracle that their little family was intact at the end of the war. There were horror stories. My mom had horror stories, but it made her the person she became. You know what I mean? Like, she overcame obstacle after obstacle. She was the queen of pivoting. Like, she knew how to read the rules. She knew how to follow the rules. She knew how to learn the language, whatever the language was, whether it was a language of music, language of quilting, language of art, language of, German, Portuguese, English. She spoke Russian, obviously. She was multilingual. She knew how to follow the rules whatever circumstance she found herself in. And because of that, she was a very strict rule follower. She trained in piano. She made her own clothes. She always followed the rules. But she also had that spark, if you will. She loved ABBA, like she loved disco. Like, that was her little sparkle. And in raising myself and my older brother, she really encouraged us to sparkle. We had to learn the rules, but it was okay if we sparkled. Does that make sense? So we were very, very, very much encouraged to learn all the rules when it came to playing piano, when it came to dance, when it came to studying our foreign languages, when it came to our mathematics, when it came to sewing, all of the things, we learned the rules. Now, my father, he also was a musician. He also learned all the rules, but he was kind of like a genius, like a mathematical genius. So he learned the rules very quickly, and he loved breaking the rules. Like, he was a jazz guy, you know what I mean? He loved to manipulate the rules and change the rules and play with the rules and just see what would happen when you broke them. So in growing up, we always got more points for how creative we could be. Like, we had to learn the rules first, but we always got more, I guess, praise when we broke the rules. So if I was going to make something, it's not like my parents weren't proud of me when I executed, whatever it was, whether it was making a blanket or making a ceramic or making an art, a poster, whatever it was. My parents were always proud of me. But when I did it differently and I kind of broke the rules, I always got much more praise, like collage, whatever it was. If I was recycling, if I was going out into the trash and bringing mixed media, I always got a lot more praise. So I craved that, right? So I always craved being more improvisatory. This also plays into what I do in my day job. So I'm a music teacher. See the line, the music. I grew up with music. I studied music at college. I teach music to small people, to children. And I don't break the rules when I teach music of music. I don't break the musical rules, but I break all the other rules so the kids have fun. And it is the best way to teach, because obviously, like, the key signature doesn't change, the time signature doesn't change, but I break all the rules that the kids think are rules. Like, we changed the words, we changed the tempo, we had animal sounds, we changed all the rules that the kids think are rules while sneaking in all the musical rules that they don't know yet. So I get to sneak them in and teach the music. I get to teach them the actual musical rules when they don't even know, because they're having so much fun. And that's what I love about my job. And because I work with small children, I have to be ready for anything. I can walk into a classroom and, did they just eat snack? Did they just have to put away a puzzle they weren't finished with? Did they just come back from the playground? Are they just about to eat snack? Are they just about to go out to the playground? Is it raining outside? Is it spring? Did the time just change? I mean, there are a million factors, and the moods can change. I can go into a 2's classroom, and then 30 minutes later, I'm in a 5's classroom, because I'm constantly shifting. So most of my job is improvisation. I have a lesson plan. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm teaching. I know what my goal is, but how I teach it is going to have to shift based on who I'm teaching. So I'm constantly improvising, and making this quilt out of my mom's blocks, I get to do that. I'm constantly improvising based on what she created and based on what I'm matching, because I'm matching blocks that were never meant to go together. She made, obviously, these quilt blocks for multiple projects. And now I'm mixing them together to create something very different that was never her intended purpose. And she made these over, I don't know how much time ago, like over 15 years ago. She's been gone for almost 16 years. And I don't know how many of these blocks were made in her last year of life and how many of these blocks were left over from the previous 5 years or beyond. I don't know. So I am mixing and matching. The fabrics are, you know, a cacophony of sound to me, and I'm having so much fun doing it. And you can see all the rules she followed, and you can see all the rules I'm breaking, and I'm having so much fun doing it. So I think at the end, it's going to be really a good mix of who we were as people, like who I am as a person and who she was as a person. And I think she would get such a kick out of this quilt. Like, I think she would love it if she were here. She would love what I've done with her blocks. She would get such joy from the sparkle, you know? And all I've added, there was one piece of fabric because I was making she had those, what were they called? Like, I think I called them crazy log cabins. They were kind of crazy log cabin blocks. And after I had squared them off and sewed them together, I was like 2 inches short, and I was looking at all the scraps from squaring, and I didn't quite have enough. So I used a scrap from my collection, which was actually an instrumental fabric. It's like brown with gold saxophones on it. So I thought that was kind of fun. And the fabric looked like it could have been hers, like color wise, you know, attitude wise, looked like it could have been hers. So I mixed that in to make the row long enough. And then I had purchased, hold on, let me grab it. So this fabric, this kind of fuzzy dot fabric, is the only fabric that I purchased specifically for this quilt to frame. You know, these are my borders. I'm just bordering out the blocks and expanding them and giving separation as needed to make things match. And I'm having a lot of fun. So yeah, so I think I'd mentioned this before, I am doing this whole project at my mother-in-law's house. She is coming back in 5 days. She's only going to be here for a couple days because she's coming for the Passover holiday. So I'm going to stop here for today because, like I said, I just laid out those blocks, the border blocks right now that I showed in the picture. I'm going to stop for today because I need to look at the picture. I need to think which blocks are jumping out at me that I want to switch around before I start sewing those together. And then I need to clean up so the house is ready for when she comes home. So I've put everything away so she can come home for a few days, and then she's going to go back to Florida, and I have 2.5 weeks to finish the quilt top before she comes back for the summer, because she's doing what we call snowbird up here in the Northeast. When people, certain generation, go down to Florida for the winter, it's called snowbirding. So she's a snowbird at the moment, but she will be back in May, like permanent, you know, for the summer. So I only have a couple weeks between the time she leaves after Passover and then comes back. So I'm getting excited though. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. And it's just kind of fun to get out of my normal sewing space and be in a place where I'm just focused on this one project. So thank you for watching. I will get you, I guess the next time you see me will be the next update. Bye. Quick update on the quilt. I think I'm at the point now where I'm going to be adding a border around the edge and calling this quilt top done. My only regret is this block right here, because I feel like these lighter green squares don't show off nearly as well as all the other ones. But you know what? That's what my mom made, and that's still beautiful. I think it looks really cool. Really happy with the layout. My brain was really fried today, so if you just watched that really zoom fast footage, you would have seen that I had to redo all my seams because my scant 1/4 inch was too scant and everything was too small or too large. Like when I rolled each line, they were too long. So then I had to tighten them up because they were too big because my seams were too small. Anyways, that's it. I will be back tomorrow to put a border around this whole thing. I think it's going to be a big thick border. It'll be this fabric, but I think it's going to be something. This was like cut at 3 inches. I think I'm going to cut it at 6 inches. I'm going to think about it tonight, but then that'll be the final piece. A border around it, and then this quilt's top is done. See you tomorrow. And she's done. So it needs a good ironing or pressing. It needs to have all the little rogue strings pulled off, etc. Pardon the bad lighting in here. It's not up, I don't have a design wall, so it's on top of a bed. So I'm trying to walk around. I know it's kind of dizzying with all the dots. But I think it's good. This is on top of a king-size bed. So it's going to be a really good lap quilt to be used once after it comes home from the Festival of Quilts, because that's where it's intended to go. But like I said, there's lots of strings, lots of little things that need to be cleaned up and quilted. So let me turn you around and talk to you. Okay, the quilt top, or flimsy as some people call it, is finished. I have put on the 6-inch border all the way around the edge, and all that's left to do is go around looking for loose threads, pull those out, trim them away, and iron it, press it, and get it quilted. The top is done. Today is Tuesday, May 13th. I have a little bit less than a month. I believe June 10th is the deadline for entering a quilt into the Festival of Quilts. So it's coming. That deadline is fast approaching, but I'm really, really happy with how this quilt has come together. I think it's really cool. I think my mom would be really happy. It is not the most meticulous patchwork. There were definitely some I wouldn't say shortcuts, but I definitely just kind of forced things together that probably should not have been forced together, let's say. The quilt police would watch in horror if they saw my technique half the time. But you know what? That's okay. That's not what this quilt was about. This was about honoring my mom's memory. This was about putting her work and my work together, and I think that's what is being accomplished. You can hear I have a little bit of, I don't know if it's allergies or kind of fighting a cold at the same time. I've been rehearsing, and we just opened a show. The show is called Sister Act, and it's been amazing. I'm between weekends. We opened last weekend. I have 4 more performances coming up this coming weekend. So I've been pushing myself, kind of running myself ragged. So I'm tired trying to do all this sewing for this quilt, plus all the other commitments I have. It's a lot, but I'm so glad because I've been able to come back to this time and time again. And just every time I've put my hands on this project, I've been reconnected to my mom. During this, I've passed, her birthday was a couple weeks ago, and the anniversary of her passing was a couple weeks ago. And I was able to, even if I wasn't able to work on the quilt during those days, I was able to look at
the work I've done, and it was like an anchor or a touchstone of sorts for me, that you know, she's still with me as long as I have her memories, you know, that she's never really that far away. I don't know if that sounds sappy, but I'm really, really proud of the work I'm doing. I think she would be really proud of it too. And I'm really excited because I'm finally going to set up, I bought a quilt frame 4 years ago. I think it was a pandemic purchase. So it's 2025, and I think I bought it not in 2020, like not at the beginning of the pandemic, but I think in 2021, after the pandemic had been going for a while. I was kind of worn down. I was like, ooh, I'm doing a lot more sewing. I think I'm going to get a quilt frame. And I even bought a new sewing machine to go on the quilting frame because I am that crazy. That is my level of do. But I bought the quilt frame a couple years ago, and I set it up, and I tried my sewing machines on it, and it wasn't like, my sewing machines didn't have like enough throat space, and it wasn't quite working, and I was like, I can't use it. I don't have a good place to set it up. But I've been working in my garage to get a nice table set up. I have the table space. It's covered in stuff right now because I had craft fairs last month, and things are kind of in progress, you know. It's like I've been a landing zone. But this week, I have a show coming up again, but very soon, this week or next week, I'm going to get the quilt frame on that table, get the new sewing machine out of its box because it's still sitting in a box. It's a Juki. Get it set up on the quilt frame, and I'm going to finally quilt, and I'm going to quilt. I might quilt something else first, like to test it, to make sure I know what I'm doing, and then quilt this, because like I said, I only have like 4 weeks, and I have my mother-in-law's coming back tomorrow, and her birthday's next week, and then my son's birthday. So there's like stuff going on. There's so much stuff always happening, but that's life. That's life. That's just, this is life. But I'm really proud, and I can't wait to show you this quilted because it's going to happen very soon. Like hopefully next week. Fingers crossed. Next week, this will be on the quilt frame getting quilted. I can do it. I can do it. But right now, because my mother-in-law's coming back tomorrow, I have to get all my sewing stuff out of her apartment. So that's the next step, is to clean up this space. All right, I'll see you soon.
And there she is. I think she's actually sideways. I've decided I'm going to turn her that way. I had to take a picture for, just in case I don't get it quilted in time, to send in for the Quilt Festival application next week. All right, I'm going to take it down, but first I need to set up all the way over here. I have to set up on the table so I can get the batting and backing all done. Hi, so welcome to my classroom. So a couple days a week I teach at a hotel, and this is my giant boardroom classroom that I teach in. It's a nice big empty room. I'm actually going to turn around in a moment and start using my tables. So usually my tables are set up behind you against the wall, and let me turn you around and show you how I've set them up for what we're going to do today for the quilts. So like I said, they're usually against a wall. Actually that corner right there, those 3 tables are set up in an L shape, but I have pulled them away from the wall and set them up because now I am going to pull out the quilt backing, the quilt batting, and my quilt top, and I'm going to start basting them together. But of course I'm going to do that zoomy zoom fast because that's a lot to watch. But maybe, you know what, let me set it up and then I will talk you through how I'm basting it. All right, so zoomy zoom fast for a minute, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I know I'm at a weird angle. I had to sit in a chair so I didn't have to move the camera around a bunch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Elmer's glue
to baste that all together. So I'm going to lift the high loft batting, fold it back halfway, put Elmer's glue to stick between the backing and the high loft batting, stick that together, then roll the batting back on top of the backing, then do the other side, Elmer's glue, stick it down, then I'll put the top on. And I'll do probably a combination of Elmer's glue and safety pins, because high loft batting isn't like super flat like a cotton wool or bamboo batting, or I think it's also called wadding in other parts of the world. Here in the US, we tend to call it batting. So I have to rely on the glue to help me smush it down onto the backing. I'm just not going to stress out about it. I'm going to do the best I can to make the front of the quilt look good, and I'm not going to stress out about the back of the quilt. One of the reasons I'm using the high loft batting to begin with is so the quilting really pops. Sorry, I didn't tell you this when I started. This is the classroom I teach in, and I just finished teaching a class. So I was teaching my music class like 30 minutes ago, and I just finished cleaning all my instruments, cleaning the room, and getting prepared. Now, I could use the floor to set this up, but I'm afraid I'm gonna hurt my back, and I don't like the idea of like stepping on my quilt or sitting on my quilt. I just don't like that idea at all. Personally, I'm a heavy person, and I'm afraid if I move the wrong way, I could stretch something, and especially with this high loft batting already challenging me with its loftiness, I feel like I'm going to be better served by doing it on a table. And since I have the tables in my classroom, I'm using them. So I know I look a little disheveled. It was very hot today. I look a little sweaty. I tried to clean myself up, but this is what I look like. This is what I'm doing. I'm glue basting and safety pinning basting my quilt together. And then when I go home, I have decided I was originally going to use my quilt frame that I have, my cutie from Grace Company quilt frame, and I've been practicing using the free motion, because I bought the free motion foot for my Juki, and it was like, I'm gonna do it, and I've been practicing, and I'm not very good yet, and I've decided I'm just going to do straight line, probably not matchstick, like super skinny matchstick quilting. It'll probably, I haven't decided if I'm gonna do diagonals or straight up and down, but they're gonna be straight. It's not gonna be meandering free motion. It's just gonna be straight line quilting. I just haven't decided if I'm gonna do everything on a diagonal or if I'm gonna do everything straight up and down. That's what I'm gonna decide as I pin it today. I'm gonna make that decision, and then when I go home, I'm going to use my FAF Quilters, what's it called? Not Quilters Select, Quilters, I always get it wrong, and I'll put it on the screen, but I love my FAF machine. It is a fantastic machine, and it is ready for this job. It can handle it. It can do the job. I trust it. I've worked with this machine for over a year now, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I will just have to use my Grace Cutie quilting frame on another future project, and there will be more future projects. And this is the first time I'm setting up a quilt in my classroom. But I have to admit, I have the classroom space. I might as well use it, right? Take advantage of the space you've got. It wasn't hard for me to pack my bag with my backing, batting, and quilt top, and glue and safety pins. Like, that was really easy for me to pack to bring down here. And I'm here every week. So I might start packing more things to do after work to get more sewing stuff off my to-do list when I get home. How cool is that? Anyways, okay, back to work. I'm gonna turn you around, glue the batting to the backing. That's what I'm doing. And then I'll put the top on, and it'll be a mixture of glue and safety pins. And then we'll take it home and quilt it, because it's almost time to put it in the mail. Yay! All right, bye. Okay, I've been struggling. I think my glue's a little old. So I just added a tiny bit of hot water. I ran into the bathroom, added a little bit of hot water. I usually don't like to water down Elmer's glue because it just makes everything too wet. And you don't need to. You just don't need to. Just glue on its own is perfect. But it was clumping and I was struggling. I'm like, I've already sweat enough today. I don't need to sweat more using glue. But I think my glue is a little old and I started to struggle. So I just added a little bit of hot water. and I'm gonna go back at it. So wish me luck. Let's look at the quilt. And nothing is standing out. Of course, I left the scissors in my car by accident. I didn't put them in the right bag, so they got left in the car. So I can't trim that fabric off right now. That's okay. I think I will just fold it up, put it in my bag, and take it home. And I think I did a pretty decent job of gluing and pinning. Yeah, my room is still hot. The air conditioning is not working at full capacity. That's fine. It's a hot day. It's like over 100 degrees outside. Yeah, so I will take this, finish cleaning my tables. Ta-da, I will finish cleaning those, and I will go home. And yeah, I don't think you need to look at me anymore. I will see you when I start quilting. See you for the next part. Bye. Hi, welcome to my basement. And you see before you my sewing machine. Just turn that on. And the quilt. I have set up like extra table space to catch it. I need to roll it so I can start feeding it through the sewing machine. And I will set you up at a little bit better angle so you can see all that magic happening. It is Thursday. Wait for it. July 3rd. Yeah, that's how late it is. I have not sewn this together. I did that gluey part, the thing you just saw with all the pins, a week ago. It was still June. It was what, the 25th of June when I did that. It's been over a week. But since then, we've had my son's 20th birthday. We've had family visiting from Texas. Hi, Gretchen. And we've just had a lot of other big stuff happening in the family and in the house. And I haven't had a chance to work on the quilt in over a week because it's Thursday now and I glued it on Wednesday of last week. So I'm doing it. I'm starting it today. I'm not going to be able to finish it today because there's stuff on the schedule. It's 8 in the morning. We're about 8:30 now. And I'm going to work on this for a couple hours, see how much I get done. Probably take a break and then come back to it. It's the 4th of July weekend. So I do teach again on Sunday. But basically, if I'm home, I'm working on the quilt. Like I've told everyone, yes, we'll have people over tomorrow night for like burgers and dogs and a little celebration, but we're keeping it low key. We've canceled any plans to go to any parties because I really need to hunker down and work on the quilt because that needs to get in the mail. In a perfect world, it'll go in the mail on Saturday. I don't know if I can make that deadline. I don't know. I don't know if I can get it in the mail on Saturday, but if it's not in the mail on Saturday, I know I can do it by Monday. I just hope I don't have to pay extra shipping to get it to Birmingham, England, extra fast. But it has to be there, I think, by the 14th. So wish me luck. Wish me luck. All right. Watch the zoomy zoom fast of some quilting. Let's go. Now seemed like a good time for an update. I think you can see this. This is a lot harder than I thought it would be. I am not accustomed to using the high loft batting, and I don't like it. Even though I've been practicing with it with mostly, what's it called? Free motion quilting, because that's what I thought I was going to do. And I wasn't very good at it. But then I thought, I'm just going to do straight line quilting. It'll be fine. It's still hard because it's heavy. And that's what I didn't take into account and all my practice, things were just like small quilt blocks. And, this is a whole quilt and it's heavy. Anyways, if you remember from, I guess, a few minutes ago,
my glue was kind of stopping up on me because it was a little old. So I have a couple of spots dotted throughout the quilt where the glue clumped. And it's left me with little clumps of glue that the needle is like not fighting through, but it gets not jammed. That's an exaggeration, but it means that I kind of have to like pull the fabric apart and make it smooth, and then I have to just go slowly over that spot because otherwise my needle's going to get stuck in that one spot. And I'm a very organic quilter. I don't know. I like that term organic because it sounds much nicer than lazy quilter. And my lines are fairly straight, not very straight, fairly straight. And I'm okay with that. Well, anyways, I've now come to the first casualty, which is where a safety pin is stuck in a chunk of dried glue and I can't remove it from the quilts. So I've taken some cotton balls with water and I've set them on top, and I'm trying to dissolve the glue so I can remove the safety pin because it's in the path of the next line of quilting. So that's the update. I've only gotten this far in the quilt. It's not very far. And yeah, it's like the first border in. Yeah, and it's not very far. I got a lot of quilt to go. It's like what, 1/6 of the quilt has been quilted, and I've been doing this for an hour. It is now 9:30, just after 9:30, and I started just after 8:30. So I've been doing this for an hour, but it's heavy and it's hard. It's much harder than I thought it would be. So I'm just going to keep doing it and trying to dissolve this glue and keep at it at least for another hour. Maybe I'll get a third of the way done before I have to take a break and do my run my errands. I have 2 appointments today. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Okay, I'm stopping for now. I made it about half, no, not half, about a third of the way done. Actually, very close to half. It's 10:30. I need to go shower. I love coming on camera when I look like this. But I have to go shower and I have some appointments this morning. I will be back, obviously, to do more. So I'll look a little different. And I think what I'm going to do before I leave is I'm going to spray down the whole thing with a little bit of water. Because like I said, there are a couple of crunchy bits. And I ran into 2 more safety pins that needed to be soaked because they were glued into the quilt. My quilt guide got off at some point. I don't know when. And it wasn't doing my 1.5 inch spacing. So some of my lines got a little closer together. I realized that. I reset it. So it's not going to be even quilting all the way along. Once the whole thing is quilted, I may decide to go in and throw in some skinny lines to sort of break it up and make it, again, look more organic. I haven't decided. I won't decide till the end. Since it will not be uniform, like it's already not uniform now, it will not be uniform in the end. I'll just see if I only have like 1 or 2 lines that are skinny at the end. That might not be enough for me. So that'll look like it's an accident, because it is. And so then I'll make it look intentional. But that'll wait till the end. Hopefully I'll have it all completely quilted before the end of today, so then I can start working on binding. And then once it's bound, or actually before I can put binding on, I think I have to put the sleeve on the back so it can be hung. And I need to put some kind of tag on it, like a, when I mean tag, I mean like an air tag. And I believe those are washable. So I'm going to double check on that. The air tag, those are the Apple product, so it can be traced, because it's going to go through the airmail. I don't want to lose it. I want to be able to find it, track it in the event that it gets lost in the mail. So, and I'm just going to sew that in with a little piece of fabric in the back and hide it in the binding. So the binding is the last thing. And then before I can put it in the mail, then I'll put it in the wash. After it's bound, I'll run it through the wash and dry. Then I'll pack it up. Before I put it in the mail, I have to hand stitch on its label for the quilt show. And that's a hand stitch kind of thing. I'm not putting on a full label until I come home from the quilt show, because my plan is when I put on its label, like its quilt label, I'm actually going to include the story
of this. And I've decided I'll use like my Cricut, and maybe I'll even get my sublimation printer working and like make a sublimation label for it with a QR code, because I want to include the link to this video in its label. So in the future, people can go back and watch the whole story of how this quilt was made, because I think that'd be kind of cool. So anyways, that's what's going on. I'm gonna go shower and then I'll be back and continue quilting. So I don't think I'll talk to you again until I get to maybe the air tag stage or the hanging bar stage. All right, see you later. Hi, it is Friday. It is the 4th of July. Welcome. I'm up in my bedroom, and my son has requested some basement time. I just made him breakfast, so I'm very rosy cheeked after flipping pancakes. And what you would have seen right before this was me adding all the binding onto the back of the quilt. So this is the sleeve. You would have watched me cut and iron the sleeve. So if you're wondering, if you're watching and thinking I was ironing it at in an uneven manner, I was, because the reason for that is you want it, I'm not even sure it's going to, let's see if it's actually going to benefit me, because I'm not sure this fabric is holding that crease very well, but there's a crease now. Let's see. Can you see where the crease that I ironed it is? So that's going to be my crease line to hand stitch the bottom of the pocket, and I want it to have a little bit of a gap on top. So when I hand stitch this down, I'm going to follow that crease, and then it's going to be a little bit rounder on top. Does that make sense? Let's see if that, let me put a pin. I'll put that pin where the crease line is, because of course I had to hold it down. There's the crease. The crease I ironed, it's right there. So I'm going to pin it there, and that's where it'll get hand stitched down, which I'm not doing yet. I'm doing that later. So I got a lot of hand stitching to do. And so now it's created a little bit of a pocket. See? So when they go to hang it, it still keeps my, hopefully it keeps the quilt very flat on top and allows for the space, whether they put like a piece of wood or a rod or a wire, whatever they hang through the back. Hopefully it keeps the flatness of the quilt. Anyways, and you saw I cut a lot of binding. I cut way more binding than I needed, like almost double the amount, because I was of two minds when I was cutting it, whether I wanted a very scrappy look all the way around or whether I wanted it to be one tone, like one fabric. I had just enough of this fabric to go all the way around, or I can make it scrappy with all the different fabrics of the backing. And
I hemmed and hawed after I trimmed it all down, and I decided to go for the one fabric, the plaid tone. So now I will go around and I will fold it over. My job right now that I'll be doing is folding it over, and I haven't decided if I'm going to glue baste at all. I've kind of had a lot of glue lately, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to clip all the way around. I brought my bag of clips up. This is just a little boxy bag that I made with leftover fabric that I had sewn together. It's soft and stable. It's cotton fabric on both sides, soft and stable in the middle, and this was a leftover cut, a fabric from another project I made. So I don't know what the dimensions are, but I just took a leftover piece, whatever the leftover piece was, and made a boxy bag. But the nice thing is whenever you have these like little boxy bags, is they can become anything you want. And in this case, it's a clip bag. So I'll just go around and clip the binding, you know, turn the corners like this, my mitered corners, paying attention to get my miter exactly the way I want it, and clip those in place. This one came out with a really nice, it came out really nice with where the fabric is. Here, watch. Let me clip it and then show you. Look how nice that one is. Isn't that nice? Well, maybe my clip isn't showing it very well, but that's going to be really nice. Tucking in and trimming away loose threads, getting rid of anything that is extra. Then I don't think I have the time or the bandwidth really to hand stitch the binding. A lot of people hand stitch the binding so it becomes invisible, but I just don't think I have the time. I really want this in the mail tomorrow. I often do hand stitch the binding on the front, just again to get that invisible look, but I just don't think I have the time. I wanted to clip the binding so you could see what I meant by where those lines. Isn't that cool? Didn't it line up nicely? It's like my camera is like backwards to where I want it to be, so I'm turning it. I thought that came out cool. So yes, I'm going to be clipping on binding because I'm recording this currently on my not my camera, but on my computer. I can't do the zoomy zoom fast the same way, and it takes up a ton of memory to just record on my computer, and the volume is different, and just like everything's different. My camera angles are different, just everything's different. So I'm not going to sit here and you're not going to just watch me clip. You're going to trust that I know how to put clips on binding. That's all I'm doing, is I'm clipping my binding. When I go back down to sew it on, I will set my camera phone back up and I'll have a better angle, so a different angle than what you had this morning to watch me sew. And then, oh, I did not put the air tag in because it cannot go through the wash. So after you watch me sew it, it will go, the whole thing will go through the wash. And then after I inspect it and look for any loose threads or anything that needs to be hand stitched, if there's any, problems, after I go through and fix anything that's wrong with it after it's been washed and dried, then I will add the air tag and I will talk to you again then, because then it'll be time to put it in the mail. So next thing you see me do will be at my sewing machine sewing on the binding that I'm going to be clipping right now, and then we'll wash and dry, and then I'll come talk to you about where I sew on the air tag, because we're going to try to hide it somewhere on the back of the quilt, and then we'll talk about mailing it. It's getting real, y'all. All right, bye. Hi, it is Saturday, July 5th, and I think the quilt's officially done. I have mended all the spots that needed mending after it went through the wash, and I have added
the Apple AirTag, which you would have just watched me do. So what I had done, here's the Apple AirTag. What I had done was I sewed a little pocket. Now this fabric, I know it looks like cotton on the screen. I think it's actually silk. If I remember correctly, it is, yeah, it is silk. It is India silk. I say India because my mom and dad lived in India for a couple of years. And this fabric I recognize as a silk that she had brought back with her. And it's incredibly a tight weave. So I struggled on these seams because that's where it was like 3 layers of silk. Actually, it was more because it was the 3 layers of the pocket plus the it was doubled because, you know, it was sewn inside out. So it was like 6 layers. And it was like trying to get through that tight weave. So I had to use pliers to pull my hand needle through because it's a really tight weave. Anyways, and it's padded because I just didn't know if it would be weird. So I put a little bit of wadding or batting in, and the AirTag is in there, and it's sewn in, so you can't really see it because it's on the back. It's on the back of the quilt. 4 spots I had to mend. 2 spots were really easy to mend with just the white thread. Oh, I just found another spot. Are you kidding me? This is where I'm just like so mad at myself. Even though I thought I was doing such a good job on my featherweight when I was sewing, paying attention to my seam allowances, I think I just had, my featherweight has such a skinny foot. I think I took a skinnier seam allowance. So it's not, it's on like this. It's on my sashing where I have these little moments of it popping open, and I found another spot. So I have a 5th spot I have to fix. Hopefully it'll be an easy one to mend, where the fabric's just a little bit older and it frayed and my seam allowance was just a little too skinny apparently, and it popped open. So I will fix that one, and I'm not going to film myself doing that because I need to take a break. I was going to put it in the mail today. I was going to try to put it in the mail today, but I think I'm actually going to mail it, ship this through DHL, and DHL's closed on Saturdays, and DHL is very fast. So I know it'll get to where it needs to go. They do international shipping all the time. It'll cost a little bit more money to ship through DHL. I'm actually going to price compare between DHL and FedEx, before I ship it. But either way, I know it's going to be very fast shipping, like 3-day shipping. So shipping on Monday should, you know, still gives me a full week, gives me 7 days for it to get there, but I'll do like 3-day shipping. So it should be fine. And, it's going to be fine. It's going to be expensive, but it's going to be worth it because it'll be insured. And I know that my quilt's going to get where it needs to go. So the next thing you watch me do is pack it up because I'm going to hand stitch, hopefully the last block that needs to be hand stitched. I was going to show you the ones that look fine. Okay, here's one that I added the colorful thread because it was not, there's no way to make it look good with the white thread. So I added, I'm like, well, if I can't make it pretty, I might as well make it colorful. So I covered the ugly ones with colorful thread. And then the ones that looked fine with just mending like this, I just mended it. And I'm like, that looks fine. Just a little hand stitching, I don't mind. And that's it. So I'm going to fix one more, but I have other things I need to do. This is going in the mail on Monday. So the next time you see me, it'll be packing this up to take to either FedEx or DHL. And you'll watch me ship it away. The quilt is done. Oh, you want to see me with a hand stitching? Oh my God, so much hand stitching. Oh, the sleeve. Remember I said I was going to hand stitch that too. So yeah, that's all hand stitched down. That's it. I did it. I am now backing up at the DHL and I am pulling out because I have sent the quilt to the people in England. It is on the way. The quilt has left. Well, I mean, it's about to leave. It is there at DHL and I am leaving.
the DHL depot, big old crazy giant facility here in the bottom of town, in the like big industrial shipping area of town. And I'm leaving my quilt. My quilt is there and I am driving away. And that is crazy to me. That is absolutely cuckoo banana pants crazy, because this quilt has been with me. It's been with me for, I mean, the fabric, it just, I'm driving away. It's like leaving a child at school for the first time. It's wild. But I did it. It's gonna be in England in a couple days. It was not cheap. I had a coupon for like 5%. Not a really good coupon, which is crazy because the coupon code said was called Summer 40. So you think Summer 40, that's going to be like 40%. No, it was not 40%. It was 5%. Like, why call a coupon code 40 if you're not getting 40% off your shipping? Like, I felt betrayed. Like, I really thought Summer 40 meant 40% off my package shipping. It was 5%. But that's okay, 5% is better than nothing. And so it cost $155 to ship my quilt to England. I know, but that was the cheapest. That was the cheapest I could find. Maybe if I had gotten it done, you know, over a week ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe I could have shipped it not DHL. Maybe I could have gone through the United States Postal Service and done it like slower, and shipped it slower, and it could have gotten there, you know, on time by going on a boat or something. I don't know, but I didn't because I wasn't ready, and I had to do it this way, and I had to pay to do it this way because that's how it goes. Anyways, that's it. I am now going back home because I got stuff to do that's not quilt related. So the next time I see you, when's the next time I'm going to see you? I guess I'm going to edit this video. Maybe I'll do a wrap up. Gosh, this feels anticlimactic because this is like, is this the end of the video? Can I end the video by driving in the car and saying I just dropped off my quilts? Is this how I'm going to end the video, in the car? I don't know. This might be the end of the video. I might come back. I might come back and like end the video properly. We'll see. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Hi, welcome back to my house. All right, it has been 1 week. It is now a week later. It is now Monday, the 14th of July, and I've had a very busy week. But in that time, I've been thinking about what I want to say to finish this story. And all I can say is I'm excited. I'm really excited. I leave for England 2 weeks from tomorrow. And I am excited to see the quilt. I watched it travel. It has landed safely. The AirTag worked the dream. And maybe I'll do a little screenshot and show you where it has landed in England and where it is currently residing, I guess. I don't know if it's in a warehouse or where. I'm not exactly sure what the facility is that's holding all the quilts, but it is there, and it, I believe, is safe. And the next time I see it is going to be hung at the Festival of Quilts, and I'm really excited. And now I am working on actually getting myself ready. Like, what do I need to pack, right? Because now I'm going on this trip, and it's the first time I'm really traveling without my family, without my friends. This is the first time that I'm not checking on anyone. I'm not driving distance home. I'm not, it's just completely a fun vacation for me since I was like 25, and now I'm about to be 50. So half my lifetime ago, and I'm excited. I'm really excited. So I'm making myself with leftover backing and binding. I quilted together this little, it's going to be like a journal cover for just, a notebook, like a composition notebook. So I had just a piece of fabric. This was actually from my mom's stash. So leftover mom fabric again, and just quilted it, scrap fabric. So I'll finish making a journal cover, and I'm just going to keep everything, tickets, receipts, whatever I can, and write, actually go old school and write down what's happening while I'm away. So maybe when I come back and talk about it, I'll have had notes. I'll have kept notes and be able to really talk about my time away. I guess that's it. I don't want this to be anticlimactic, but that's it. I'm gonna go. Next time you see me in the next video will be at the Festival of Quilts, because this is going to post. You are watching this and it's August 2nd or sometime thereafter, because I'm scheduling this video to post on Saturday, August 2nd. And today, like I said, is July 14th. And that's it. That's all I've got. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this journey. I can't wait to share just the rest of the viewing and my time at the festival and everything else. I know this isn't my usual content, but thank you for being here. I know it's probably like an hour long. I'm not even sure. I have to keep editing and try to, get rid of all the filler, but I hope this has been an enjoyable video for you to watch. Thank you for being here. I hope you've liked it, subscribed, and just thank you. Thank you for coming along on this journey. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week, wonderful month, wonderful year. It's hard out there, so we got to take care of ourselves so we can take care of each other and put that love out into the world. See you soon.